What is up, guys? It's Monday. Means it's another episode of Modern Magic Mondays, and as you can see, I've got a lovely guest here with me now. Brett is on vacation this week in Florida. You know, busy battling nerds and fighting game tournaments and stuff like that. So I'm going to be doing solo stuff tonight and try to stumble my way through it. You know, Eminem usually fills in for us, but I know he's been swamped with work and stuff like that, so I didn't want to try to drag him into stuff that he, you know, might have the only day off and has other stuff. So I'm, you know, going to try and do some solo casting. We'll see how well it works out. It's going to be much harder. So when does the next season start? This is week number 9. Next week we'll be broadcasting up week 10 on the 26th. The Invitational will be taking place on the 27th. And assuming everything works out, the season 6 should be starting up on the 11th. We were taking that week off because it's July 4th on a Tuesday, so we're not going to be starting the season then because that would just be silly. So season 6 is starting on July 11th. So just for all of you guys sitting at home wondering how this broadcast stuff is going to be working, 5 rounds tonight. We've got 5 rounds set up for next week, and then we're going to be getting things all set up for the Invitational, which will be taking place on the 3rd, right? If that's my math correct? Yeah, the 3rd should be when we'll be broadcasting up the Invitational. So right before the holiday, just kind of great time to be able to get lots of extra content going for you guys. So, but let's take a look at points leading into it because this is week number 9. I know I hadn't updated it on the stream yet, and I'll make sure to do that tonight. But our points leading into things, pop on over here. So here's week 8. As you can see, it's pretty close on who's going to be making it into the top 8 here. Lyle, TJ, John, Jeremy are all kind of battling up at the top there. Jamie, Brian, Ben, Johnny, and even Richard are really close here for the lower half of the bracket. Now you could also make the argument Dwayne, Robert, Kyle, Eric, all these guys could have a really good run. Some of our players might not be able to show up. So lots could be happening for our last 2 weeks of coverage and play here. So let's hop over, get things started with round number 1. You know, not too much chit chat going into it because I don't have all that extra discussion since Brett's not here, and I've got to be like super on point with coverage tonight because I'm the only one here to do point totals. So I've got to really make sure that I'm getting our point totals correct as we're going to be playing through this match. It's going to be Jeskai Control versus the Mono Blue Tron. It is a very rare thing to see Mono Blue Tron running around. So I'm happy to see it on camera. And oh, a little bit of reveal there. We know that it is at least a blue-white deck from that little sneak away there. But we know it's actually Jeskai Control style that Eric is going to be rocking out here. I know he's got Nahiris in his list. He also is kind of twinning it out, if you will. He's got some Pestermites in there and Kiki Jiki the Mirror Breaker. So is trying out some different stuff. Mono Blue Tron is, when most people think about Tron, Mono Blue Tron is not anywhere near the top of their list of going, yeah, Tron, that's what I think about. But it's actually a pretty powerful deck against control matchups because you have access to so much more mana. You also have a combo in there to lock people out of the game with the Mindslaver Lock, which is an artifact that costs 6, pay 4 to sacrifice it, and you get to take control of that target player during their next turn. You have Academy Runes, which you pay 1 and a blue, put an artifact on top of your library. So simple enough, right? You got 12 mana, and you can lock somebody out of the game. Easy enough to do with Tron. But we see Eric already going to 18 life and going to go with the Serum Visions here. So not only does it have that Mindslaver lock, it also has stuff like Sundering Titan available to it, the Worm Coil engine, so counter magic is in there, so it's got some fun stuff. But we're going to have to see. Basically, the setup for the Tron deck is going to rely on drawing cards and map to find those lands that you need. So it's a little bit different. Not going to have access to Ancient Stirrings and things like that. So, and it looks like just Land Go is the name of the game right now for both players. And that's fine for Eric because he can really set himself up to have the counter magic available once Jacob starts playing stuff. You'll see him fetch on the end step, dropping down to 17 here. Probably going to be grabbing one of his, I was going to say Hollow Fountain. Access to white mana now. He does have his blue-red. Needs double blue is nice because you have to think about cryptic commands, stuff like that you are going to be having to sink that extra blue mana into. But he'll be set up, remands, mana leaks, stuff like that now going forward against Jacob. Alright, let's see for his turn though. Untaps, draws. Okay. Plains and pass. And now this is the reveal. Hey, it's actually Mono Blue Tron, by the way. Just so you know. Treasure Mage going to come down here, which will allow him to tutor up an artifact. And actually we have our handy dandy card bot here as well. For all of you sitting at home. But yeah, we'll allow him to tutor up an artifact with preferred mana cost 6 or greater. So that means like Mindslaver, means the Worm Coil, all those kind of things that he can be able to grab. And he does pick up a Worm Coil engine. But that Treasure Mage is a 2/2, so he will get hit with a bolt and killed off. And Eric's going to go, well, yeah, bolt's not really going to work well against that Worm Coil engine. So it is a 6/6 after all. And he plays an island and passes on over. Another island for Jacob. So he is only at 4 mana currently. And not able to cast into any of his bigger creatures yet. And Eric did throw land up at the top. Could not see what it was. Alright. Draw 3 cards. Discard 2 cards unless you discard an artifact. And so this is one of the things of the Mono Blue Tron, being able to just draw into a lot of cards pretty quickly here. And yeah, you see him just kind of counting up how many cards are in his hand. Does have access to 5 mana. Still has not found a Tron piece. Still has not found a map to help him out. I have no idea what that card is. But whatever it is, it's going to be countered. Oh, remand. This was the other downside too. Was that Muddle that he was casting? Oh, just the older art of it. Nice. Looks like he's going to be grabbing Solemn Simulacrum here, our robot. You know, finding more lands, drawing cards, all that kind of good stuff there. But that's the thing that Eric has to be careful about. You can't go into this matchup with the same mindset of, I'm battling against another Tron deck. It's, I'm having to battle against another control deck. And looks like, oh, Eric, that was a fetch land, so Eric will be going down to 16. And whatever that card was, it was allowing him to find his sad robot. Oh, Thirst for Knowledge. Yeah, the draw spell. Alright, another Tron piece coming down. But still, you can see he does not have Tron. Looks like 2 towers and a power plant there. And that's going to get hit with a mana leak. which is nice because you don't want him to be getting any more lands, you don't want him to be drawing any more cards here, and this is the time to start using the mana leaks before he gets access to all 3 of his Tron lands. And wow, there's another tower. And pass. So he has 7 mana, could have cast Worm Coil, but seeing that Eric has full access to his mana, he knows that he has that Cryptic still in his hand. He doesn't want to just kind of waste a spell here. And we're going to get a Thirst for Knowledge in response to the Nahiri cast. See if he can draw into a counter spell here. And he'll be able to draw 3 cards. Discard 2 unless you discard an artifact. Pretty easy to be able to get an artifact. It looks like he will be discarding another one of those robots. But has no response to this. Condescend is one of the counter spells that Tron also likes to run. Counter target spell unless they pay X. And, oh, another Thirst. 1, 2, and 3. Oh, there's the Condescend. A little bit late. We'll discard 2 lands here. Mine. So Tron is now assembled. 3, 6, 13 mana off Tron lands, I believe. Alright, here's 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. What? Okay, our promised end? I don't remember how to spell Emrakul. I think that's what it is. Yeah. So Emrakul Promised End costs 1 less to cast for each card type among cards in your graveyard. So those lands, those artifacts, those instants, those sorceries, all reduce the cost of this guy. And then whenever you cast it, you gain control of target opponent during their player's next turn. After that turn, that player takes an extra turn. It's also got Flying, Trample, and Protection from instances. What? So he's basically saying, you know what? Not only do I have access to Mindslaver Lock to kill you out, but I also have access to this sweet sweet creature in here. And we're going to see Jacob taking control of Eric's turn here, tapping down his stuff, playing Feldar Guardian, pathing Feldar Guardian. He's basically trying to see what other stuff he can be able to do here. Does he want to find a land? And says, no, I don't want to find a land. Going to do Serum Visions, though. Draw a card. It's a Serum Visions, and he gets to look at the top 2. Eric does not get to, though, so that is the key thing. So there's a Snapcaster and a Bolt. I'm fine with him putting the Bolt on top. Snapcaster goes to the bottom. You don't want him getting access anymore. Counter Magic, we got to see at least a Cryptic Command was also in his hand. So now Eric, and a Serum Visions. I don't remember what the other ones are. But now Eric gets to take his second turn here, because you do get to take one right afterward. And yep, we'll see Serum Visions. He'll start to get stuff set up here. Double checks his hand. I mean, a 13/13 is pretty good. And when the main way to kill that creature for Eric are those Path to Exiles and get that off the battlefield, not going to work because the Promised End does have protection from instances. The benefit, though, is that Nahiri there can get rid of Emrakul. But he has to take 13 damage for that to be able to be an option. So let's see. What's the choice? I mean, I guess you can also Cryptic Command, tap the team, because it's not targeting Emrakul. I do not believe he is running the Aeon's Torn in his list. Main board. I think it might be sideboard if he has it. Alright, so here's 6 mana. Oh, no! Yeah, Mindslaver, you have to counter that. Counter that, and he's going to opt for a draw a card here. So that's like, hey, by the way, you better be able to stop this because I'm going to be able to kill you. Worm Coil. Move to combat. 13. Opts to kill Nahiri here, which is sweet. Because he's basically saying, hey, if I deal 13 to you, put you to 3, you still have the chance to get rid of that, or maybe get a crazy creature because you're at 8 mana. Maybe you're running Emrakul as well and make me sack a bunch of stuff. So, Snapcaster coming out. Path one of them. I don't, you're still going to take 13, though. No matter what. Yikes. This is dangerous here. I'm going to bolt you and put you to 17, he says. I still like the Snapcaster Cryptic Tap the Team play better than this. You know, that buys him at least an extra turn without having to waste any blockers. Oh, that's it. We got it, guys. 1, 2. And he'll return that to your hand and then swing in for lethal there. Whew. Alright, let's get our life totals back up to date. We'll pull up our sideboards for you guys to be able to take a look at. And we're also going to update this guy. Okay, so both players are going to be going into sideboard mode here. Going to try to figure out best cards to be able to bring in. So Eric's got 2 Keranos, 1 Chalice of the Void, 1 Grafdigger's Cage, 2 Blessed Alliance, 1 Shatterstorm, 2 Rest in Peace, 1 Hurkyl's Recall, 1 Blood Moon, 2 Crumble to Dust, and 2 Wrath of God. Love the Crumble to Dust coming in. Taking out some of those Tron pieces can really hurt Jacob's ability to do those counter wars and really hurt his ability to play those big old endgame stuff like Emrakul. So I'm a fan of those. I like the Blessed Alliance coming in, at least one of. You can maybe offer both of them and shave down on some of your lightning bolts, because the Blessed Alliance works against the Emrakul because it's not a targeted. You're not targeting Emrakul with it. If he swings in with Emrakul, Blessed Alliance, sack an attacking creature. Cool. He has to sack it. Doesn't don't have to worry about that. Let's see. Maybe you can make the argument for Keranos. Like, you know, you saw it went kind of long there. Card advantage, dealing extra damage is nice. I don't like the Blood Moon here because he's got all those basics in his deck, and it's not going to matter too much. I'd rather him crumble and destroy those. Over on Jacob's side, he's got Venser's Journal, Omen Machine, Gather Specimens, 2 Squelch, 1 Surgical Extraction, 1 Negate, 1 Batterskull, 1 Mindbreak Trap, 1 Pact of Negation, 1 Wipe Away, 1 Cyclonic Rift, 1 Orb of Warding, 1 Perilous Vault, and 1 Relic of Progenitus. So I like the Relic of Progenitus coming in here. I like the Batterskull coming in here. I like Negate coming in here. I actually don't mind Pact of Negation as well. You know, I like bringing in these kind of counter spells and doing that sort of thing. Cyclonic Rift could also be beneficial, knowing that Eric is running Planeswalkers, and you can try to bounce some of his Planeswalkers back, especially since he's running Nahiri. Once he ticks that up to like 8, you can say, okay, return that to your hand. Sorry. Squelch is nice. Alright, let's see. Oh, Omen Machine. Players can't draw cards. At the beginning of each player's draw step, that player exiles the top card of his or her library. If it's a land card, that player puts it on the battlefield. Otherwise, the player casts it without paying its mana cost, if able. That seems kind of cool. I actually don't mind that in this sort of matchup here, because a lot of the stuff that Eric has, he won't be able to cast. Because a lot of the stuff is like counter magic and things like that, where, alright, we're going to exile this top card. If it's a land, cool, it comes into play. Otherwise, they cast it without paying its mana cost if able. Well, that counter spell, I have nothing to counter. Can't really cast it then. So, lots of good options coming in for these players here going into Game 2 here. Venser's Journal, you have no maximum hand size. At the beginning of your upkeep, you gain 1 life for each card in your hand. Not as relevant in this matchup, so don't have to worry about it really here, but we're going to see. Eric will be going first, seeing what he can be able to make happen here. And yeah, like, if you, as a control player, have never played against a mono blue Tron, it is not something that you're going to have much fun with, to be completely honest. And you can see like Sundering Titans here. It's cards like that that really make the matchup feel not fun. So we're going to have to see. Looks like 2 lands, Mana Rock, Sundering Titan, Ulamog. Is that Mystical Teachings on the far right there? I can't. It's hard to tell. Alright. Eric not happy with his. Going to be going down to 6. Yeah, we've lost our gambling. Revlo is forever Ripperoo. Gotta maybe see about adding some stuff into MTG bot or something. See if we can do some commands for that. We need more quad sleeve. I saw a picture of that and was like, what? Quad sleeve? At first glance, I thought it was a Battle of Wits deck because of how big it was. Alright, we're getting the lands going. Land go, fetch, shock. Gotta find the right land. Oh no, he doesn't shock himself. Stays at 19. Nice, pretty foils there. See, this is the problem. I don't have Brett here to have a great discussion about basic lands, so I'm going to have to rely on you guys in chat. What do you guys think about Eric's basic lands? Alright, really shuffling up. Not enough mountains, he says. Shiny. Oh, alright. Mana Rock. Taps for a blue or a white, deals 1 damage. I mean, whatever it is, it has to tap for a blue. That's really what it's there for. So, oh no, Eric has to just say pass. He has an islands and a plane here, so we see 3 mana. Jacob will lose a life, and he's going to try to play that Treasure Mage again to find an artifact that costs 6 or more. And remands. Gets a reman. Eric will untap. Oh no. Counts his hand. Has to say pass. Misses another land drop here. See an island coming down, but that's alright. 4. That'll get hit with a mana leak. Tech Edge. And here's another robot. Double checks. Enters, draws a card. When it when it enters, gets a basic land. When it leaves, draw a card. Oof. Eric really fighting this here. Alright, here's 2. Snap. Block. Yeah, and that's fine. Like, you could opt for, like, counter spell there and stuff like that, but no, the 2 damage isn't worth it. You drawing a card is more worth it here. So here's 3. Treasure Mage. Let's see what he gets. Wormcoil Engine. Yeah, usually the Mono Blue Tron list runs at least 2 Wormcoil Engines in it. Has the Sundering Titan, you know. Doesn't run the Karns. That's the other thing that you see for the Mono Blue Tron. Thirst for Knowledge is going to come out here, going to draw 3. Oh, you see he almost discarded that map, but I don't know if he has all the Tron pieces now. We'll see. Looks like he still felt fine with it. Has enough lands in his hand. Feels good enough here, so looks like we're going to see Eric fetch as well. Looks like he did opt for the Blood Moon. Whew. Really all basics this time around. Yeah, Eric really doing some mass shuffling here, making sure it's properly shuffled up, knowing that he has missed a couple of land drops here. And crumble to dust. Exile target non-basic land. Target opponent reveals their hand. You may choose any other copies, exile them. Then you search their library for any other copies and exile those. But this is also a great way for Eric to sit there and get an idea exactly the numbers of cards and look through and get sideboards and stuff like that. So that's definitely something to take advantage of. Something that Eric really should have done that right there is really look through it. Take your time, get an idea, okay, exactly what do I need to be worried about? What sort of sideboard stuff could they have brought in against me? Things like that. So you're not caught off guard. Having knowledge of not only your deck, but your opponent's deck is a pretty big deal there. And we'll see 2 damage come across from that Treasure Mage. Wormcoil does end up coming down. He opted to go for the crumble over the extra counter style against that Wormcoil, but that's going to immediately get pathed. And yeah, Brett's making a good point in chat saying potential Blood Moon in hand by the way that he is fetching and going for all his basics, but we noticed that he did have that Blood Moon run around his deck as well, so definitely something to be worried about. Here's 2 more coming across. Eric's going to say, yeah, that seems fine. We'll go to 14. Another fetch. So Sundering Titan's a great card. And I really hope we get to see Jacob play it. Because I used to love playing it against 3-color decks. Ooh, promo Geist of St. Traftir. 2/2 hexproof. And then when he attacks, you get to also bring out a 4/4 Flying Angel who's also attacking. And what is that? Oh, Eric's going to fetch, though, in response to the cast. Let's see, 13. Yep, down to 13. Mass shuffling going to be taking place now. Remand, he says. Whatever that spell was, put it back in your hand. Remand battle, remand your remand. So it looks like counterspell on that. He'll draw a card. Untap. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Sundering Titan time. Yes! I'm so excited for this. So when he enters or leaves, you're going to be choosing a land of each basic land type, then destroy those lands. So he's going to say island, mountain, plains. Then he says, no. These are the ones that I've chosen. I've chosen that island, that mountain, and that plains. And then when he leaves, he'll have to choose, island, mountain, plain, whatever. As long as there's non-basics, or as long as there's basics land types, he can be able to pick those. And now it drops Eric from having the 6 mana that he had down to 3 mana. And if he was able to kill off that Sundering Titan, it would just trigger again. So, love it. I love it. And now with just 3 islands, he's put in a bad spot. And he says, Snapcaster, block, and then I'll take 2. But Jacob's going to Thirst, see what he can make happen. Says, no, that's fine. Goes to 11. So that's another reason why I think the Blood Moon is kind of was a trap for Eric here. I think it might have been better to just find all those different fetch lands early on instead of all those basics. Because he might have been in a better position. But there's a Surgical going to come out, and he's going to reveal his hand. Hey, you can go through, pick out the other ones. You got to see at least Keranos coming in. Oh, it looks like there's the Emrakul that Eric does have main board. And, yep, good targets of the Snapcaster. It's like Jacob admiring the mountain that's in there. But Jacob did end up losing 2 life to cast Surgical. PJ Salt. Alright, here's the draw. Well. Another land comes down. And that'll do it. Mono Blue Tron, guys. Did you miss it? It's been a while since we got to see that. And, I really think that a lot of control players that have not had that battle, it is not a fun match to experience. Like, it's not really where you want to be at. So definitely takes some reworking and rethinking on those Jeskai, Grixis control players and kind of how they want to approach that matchup, and how, you know, you have to view it as a control matchup and not as a Tron matchup. So, you know, definitely some learning for a lot of players who it's not a deck that you see very often. So let's take a look at our round update, though. See how people are looking with their point totals here. And we do have a lot of our players sitting at 3 points, a couple of them sitting at 0. We have no draws, no ties going into that first round. But Jacob's going to be back on camera, guys. Looks like we're highlighting some of our newer players coming out for this week, week number 9. And let's hop over to see what he's up against with Patrick coming out with Abzan.